I have no children. I'm not married, and I'll be 35 in May. And the older I get, the further away I feel I am from being a husband and a father. And not because I can't have kids, but because when I was younger, I realized I was gay. It's so crazy how you sit there and you be vulnerable and talk about something like wanting to be a husband.
Nigga, don't be vulnerable on the internet, bro.
But it's kind of crazy how you can speak on one of these things and the first thing somebody says is that, oh, he must like men. Like, what does that have to do with a man's want of wanting to be a father and a husband?
But to pretend we are dismissing your concerns or what you feel, you know, with this whole like gayness thing is not a real reflection of the video at all.
I mean, listen, bro is obviously soft. He a little soft, so it makes sense that he would fixate on that. Now, can you say it's an immature joke, a childish joke? Sure, I make jokes like that all the time. You feel me? I don't give a fuck. He called us out. Video by the one and only Abba and Preach. Now, they're going to be responding to a dude who is not even a big creator. I already know what this topic is. I haven't seen this video, but I already know this topic. I've seen a couple videos of people low-key criticizing Abba and Preach for their take on a recent video where they reacted to a guy. Actually, I don't think I dropped that reaction. That was before I started streaming. But anyway, we'll just run this video. I'm sure they're going to give us a little bit of backstory. Okay, let's go.
Quick recap. So we did a video on this guy a while back.
But I'm 34. I have no children. I'm not married, and I'll be 35 in May.
And I guess he saw the video, he reacted. It was like a 12-minute video. So let's just watch his reaction, then we'll.
So I found this video on YouTube on a response of a video I made with me having a desire to want to be a husband and a father. 34. I have no children. I'm not married, and I'll be 35 in May. And the older I get, the further away I feel I am from being a husband and a father. And not because I can't have kids, but because when I was younger, I realized I was gay. It's so crazy how you sit there and you be vulnerable and talk about something like wanting to be a husband.
Nigga, don't be vulnerable on the internet, bro. It's a bad decision every time, nigga. Being vulnerable on the internet? These niggas is not your friends. What you doing? That was a bad idea from the start.
Wanting to be a father. And a lot of men don't even talk about things like that. You usually see women speak on their desires of wanting to be mothers, especially as they age. But for me, it was something that was important because it's something that I do love to have.
Now, that doesn't take away from whatever criticisms he might have of Abba and Preach or whatever. I'm just saying that's just a bad idea. Don't be vulnerable on the internet, bro.
One day in my life. But it's kind of crazy how you can speak on one of these things and the first thing somebody says is that, oh, he must like men. Like, what does that have to do with a man's want of wanting to be a father and a husband? Me, I don't just want a wife. Me, I just don't want kids. Like, I want to be the representation of everything I hope to receive. And that takes time, that takes effort, and it takes intention. Yes, I can have a child by next year. Yes, I can get married tomorrow. But what good is it if I'm not taking it serious? What good if I'm not honoring God? What good is it if I'm not being the man that I need to be for my wife? What if I'm not stepping up to the plate as a parent for my children? So that's why I say, if it comes down to anybody that watches the video that hopes to be a parent, whether if you're a man or a woman, do it the right way. And I'm not saying a perfect way, but have good intentions. It may take you a little bit longer. The one thing I agree.
Nardo Slim says vulnerability is for gay niggas. Interesting take.
With them through this entire video is the fact that yes, you have to get out. If you
Now, I believe that I believe that aside
Nardo
from
slick.
the joke that you thought it was really not funny, we were really fair in what we said.
I love when people do reviews of our videos. They're critical, they share perspective. I've seen like so many videos over the last couple of years where people are like, this is where you're wrong, this is where you're right. And for me, it's always a good learning experience. Enjoy that. He plays like a single throwaway joke in the first 30 seconds and then doesn't extrapolate on that, doesn't look at everything else. Like, I'd understand if we spent the whole 13 minutes talking about this, but we had like a substantive conversation about the whole thing. And he honed in on that one moment and didn't talk about nothing else.
That's why I said we were fair.
So to me, it was like, if you're going to critique it, do it properly. Like, I will play your video in its entirety, or at least a substantial amount, to like finally say something. It don't matter if I like the person or not. It's like, You know how many times people have critiqued me and said like, nigga, you got a huge forehead, or you and Preacher gay, and I don't sit there and have this whole pontificating moment about like, oh, somebody made a gay joke. Like, bruh, it's not that deep. You didn't like the joke, that's cool. Not your audience, it's okay. But to pretend we are dismissing your concerns or what you feel, you know, with this whole like gayness thing is not a real reflection of the video at all. There's a lot of criticism, so why don't we rewatch the video that he originally made?
I mean, listen, bro is obviously soft. He a little soft, so it makes sense that he would fixate on that. Now, can you say it's an immature joke, a childish joke? Sure, I make jokes like that all the time. You feel me? I don't give a fuck. And so, if you gonna watch Abba and Preach's original video, and I don't agree with Abba and Preach on everything, but if you're gonna watch their original video and not realize that's a joke, bro, this nigga look like he in his 30s. In fact, I think he said he was in his 30s, even though he actually looked like he was in his 40s in the original video because he was dressing like a grandfather. You know what I'm saying? That's not a joke. That's actually an accurate description. And, bro, hey, shout out to Lonely No More. Thanks for the sub, bro. And, you know what I'm saying? It was a joke. It was clearly just a joke. So making it out to be deeper than it actually was, I think, is reflective of a nigga who gets on the internet and tries to be vulnerable to the internet. This is not just a nigga just trying to talk, you feel me, and just share, reflect upon his life or anything. He's looking for sympathy, he's looking for empathy, he's looking for validation. That kind of shit, that's not a good idea ever.
Keep everything in context and then we'll discuss it.
The further away I feel I am from being a husband and a father, and not because I can't have kids, desire to be.
Sorry, I was gonna make the joke again. That was great.
I know you was.
Stop. No, it's because it was just the timing. But whatever. Let's keep going.
But because when I was younger, I always desired to be a husband, especially in my early 20s. I thought by 25 I'd have 2 kids, I'd have a house. Maybe I was being unrealistic, but as I get older, it's like, man, my little brother is about to have a 1-year-old in June. My baby sister is about to have, well, she actually has an 8-year-old right now. And I'm like, I'm the last one. I got it together. And it's like,
You're comparing yourself to your sister and your brother. And you have to understand one thing. The same way that we're not you and we don't know you like that, you're not them and you're not in their heads. So as much as you're like, oh, they got kids, I ain't got kids, you don't know what their regrets are. You don't know what they like. You don't know what. So the comparison that you're doing with other people, sometimes it really sets you back because what you see is really the good part. You're not in their head. Even though you look at that sister with that kid and you're like, I wish I was that. Maybe your sister's like, shit, I was really too fucking young for that thing. And although I love my kid, if I would have done it again, I would. So maybe that person is looking at you, is looking like, look at my big brother, 34 and living his best life. Yeah, I understand everybody's situation, but sometimes you have to be grateful also for what you got right now.
why hasn't it happened for me yet? And I'm like, man, maybe I'm the problem. I don't know.
I ain't gonna lie, bro. Preach has, I usually agree with Preach's takes, bro.
But I don't know if anyone feels that way, especially men. I'm a black man. I'm young still. I don't have no baby mamas, none of that. And yet I desire to be a husband. I desire to get married one day and have kids. And it's like, I just feel like I'm just getting older and I'm further away from that dream. And it's so crazy because it's something that I truly do want. But I see so many people out there who already have it. And I feel like, is it really there for me? So I thought I would ask y'all, do any of y'all feel this way? Even women, but just as much as the guys.
Garcia Worth says he feels inferior internally, so he's looking at external factors to find a false reason why. That's right. Whatever you believe about the internal, you're going to find things in the external to justify that, to prove you right. Because check this out. Nobody believes anything that they don't think is true. And most people believe that their beliefs are shaped by their experiences and what they see in the world. The reality is what they experience and what they see in the world is shaped by their beliefs. But people think it's the other way around. That's why everybody thinks that everything they believe is true, even though a lot of your beliefs contradict the beliefs of other people.
When I watched your original video, and I think this is like a greater thing we can talk about just in dating in general.
Go ahead.
This is my perspective.
If your beliefs were truly shaped by your experiences and the external, everybody would believe the same thing. If you believe that everyone is living in a static, shared reality, everyone's sharing the exact same reality, we would all believe the exact same thing because we would all experience reality in the same way. Do this, that happens, right? But the fact that we all believe different things tells you otherwise.
Of how people are nowadays when it comes to dating. People who are married or off the market have one thing, and then people who are single, all they do is spend their time online saying that everyone else is the problem. Fair? How many times you've been online, everyone's like, the dating market's disgusting, men are trash, women are trash, whatever it is, right? And part of me feels very confused when I say that, because I'm like, if I took everybody who said that and I stuck them in a room, I'm like, you niggas are talking about each other. Y'all realize that, right? Oftentimes, everything is about what's happening around us.
Yes,
even in the comments of the video, they're like, but man, you can get to 40, you can do everything right, and it doesn't work out with you. And I agree. But can we be honest and say that that's not most people? Can we be honest and say that very few people ever get online and say, oh, this is where I had an issue here? Or I didn't prioritize marriage and dating life at all. Or like, when do people have that conversation? All I see is one side of it, right? But that's like the surface level aspect of it. It's like, where's the introspection? Like, okay, well, what have you been doing to try to set yourself up? Like, I'll take, and this is not a one-to-one analogy, but I'll take like someone being 37 and they're basically coming to me and they're like, bro,
Hey, Bug, don't spam.
I don't have any career path. I'm 37. I don't know what I'm gonna do. I'm like, okay, cool. What have you been doing for the last 17 to 19 years? This is what an employer would ask you, but I'm gonna ask the same question. What have you been doing? Have you been setting yourself up to have a career path? Have you done any higher education? Have you done any training? Have you been working within a company that has like a growth potential or whatever it might be? Oftentimes, you'll have conversations with people who are at 37 with no career prospects. And as you start to peel back the layers of why they're nowhere near even half decent, you'll realize like, okay, well, you don't have any language skills. You haven't really developed your resume extensively in a way that kind of aligns with the career path you want. You've switched career lanes 7 or 8 times. It's just like, there's a deeper conversation to have about our own behavior and how it plays into this stuff. But every time I say that, it's like, oh, Abba, you're victim blaming. Oh, Abba, you're not being considerate. Oh, Abba, you're not being nice. I'm like, no, I'm just being real with you. If you are where you are at the age, I'm not talking about 20, I'm not talking about 25, I'm not talking about 20. If you get into 35, which is what this guy's age is, and you don't know why you are where you are, or you don't talk about that, to me, some red flags go off.
Why hasn't it happened for me yet? And I'm like, man, maybe I'm the problem. I don't know.
And people are like, well, Abba, you're just projecting. Listen, maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm the only person who ever gets online and says, yo, this is why I didn't have the dating outcomes I wanted. This is the things I did for a good portion of my life to not be where I want to be today. Maybe it's just me. And everybody else, you guys are victims of circumstances. You guys were fucked up by somebody. You weren't raised well. Listen, do you know how many people were not raised well and ended up married with a partner that they left today? You know how many people keep...
This nigga is tight right now. He's activated right now. Bro is very... emotional right now. I ain't saying that in a bad way. He just very, triggered.
From broken families and end up figuring out what's the difference between, is it just luck? And I have people truly trying to convince me that you just have to be lucky. Well, if that's what you want to believe, you in the wrong channel, my friend. I don't have time to sit here today and tell you that things are just going to happen to you if you happen to be at the right place at the right time. If that's what you want to hear, I don't know why the fuck you're watching us. No clue. I would hope.
It's true.
Like I have nothing to tell. Like, just go be lucky, nigga. And when I listened to him, he had no problems complimenting himself. You guys said it was vulnerable, but you said, listen, I make enough money. I'm relatively attractive. I have no baby mamas. He had positives. I'm like, cool. I love that.
So what are the negatives?
I lack a lot of patience. Okay, that's a fair thing to say.
Even when you get to a job that you're going to get out here, you have to prep up yourself. But one of the questions they're going to ask you is, okay, name me 2 of your setbacks.
Yes.
Because you have to understand where you lack. Okay, it's good to talk about the feeling of how you feel about, I feel like this and that, and I feel like I'm not where I wanted to be. Okay, we would have left it at that if it was just that. But you also say, I'm not that age. I don't know. I'm not there where I wanted to be yet. I don't know what it is. You claim the positives, but you have to go in the negatives as well. For example, some of the times in my career, from being a young one to now, I've tried to be an actor, and it wasn't really working. And yes, we could say that it was because, here, they don't really employ black people. They didn't really employ black people unless it was to play a gangster or to play, you know what I mean, stuff like that. But I was also not ready. And I also did not back then.
Hey, shout out to Derek.
No, they could've stopped me. Big bags, I got racks up in my pocket. No care, I heard that they better stop. Well,
Yes, sir.
Diamond time, please. With a dime,
Hey, shout out to that boy.
They got time to sleep, and nights I lay away.
Hey, thank you, bro. For the 15 gifted. Man, well, he just gave 10, but you've gifted a total of 15, man. Thank you. Appreciate you, bro. Appreciate you, gang.
2011, not doing the work. I didn't have an agent. So you have to understand that the roles are not just gonna fall on your lap. I went back, rethink my position, and then I tried again, but with the proper mindset. Now it's freaking working. But you have to understand why it was failing before. Yes, the system was fucked up. Still a bit here, but I was setting myself for failure as well.
Yeah. On a relationship front, I see people sometimes get online. They're like, I've been married for 7 years. My wife's divorcing me, and I don't know why. Me, red flags go off right away. I'm gonna be honest. It just does. You've been married for 7 years. You don't know this person. And look, sometimes that shit is true.
But it's not most people.
Like, how many times do people ever take the accountability for why their relationships or marriages are failing? I ask that question. I will always respect people a lot more when they are cognizant of their own roles and situations, just because it tells me that you haven't just looked at yourself in a positive light, but you see how you affect others. Who are the people that are hurting others? We don't know. Who are all these people who come online and talk about the fact that they've mistreated their partners, they've done them dirty, whatever? That's so rare. And I'm like, they have to exist. And not everybody can be a victim. And not everyone is exclusively a victim. You play different roles at different times. Sometimes you're the one who hurts people. And sometimes you're the one who hurts. I just wish the conversation was more balanced in that regards. It breeds a society where everyone online spends their time talking about how shit everybody is. And I'm like, nigga, you are everyone. Somebody has to be. Somebody has to be. It can't be that all you think everybody else sucks and society sucks and you're not part of the problem. That I'll never understand. I've had to do that in our dynamic. I had to realize how my impatience was hurting you. My communication skills weren't that great. How I didn't oftentimes know how to integrate you into a lot of the work aspects that we're doing. And I'm still learning how to be better at that. That's me doing my own self-assessment. And you can attest to this. Do we work together today the same way that we did before?
Absolutely not.
But why? It's because I can look at myself honestly and say, here's my role. And Preach could probably look at himself, and I see Preach has made a lot of changes. N'est-ce pas?
I'll try.
You're not doing that great, but you try.
Hey, at least I'll try. Don't touch me.
Boundaries, okay? See, that's also something I need to improve on. You know, it's so funny, especially when we do videos like these, I'll see so many reactions. Oh, Ab and Preach are misogynists. Oh, Ab and Preach are pandering to women. Ab and Preach hate men and women. And it's like, nigga, you gotta pick a lane. Like, are we just hating everybody? Like, it don't make sense. And sometimes people hear my tone, especially when I'm talking to a man, like, oh, Abba, you're simping for women. It's like, y'all not realize I just talk about y'all the same way, irrespective of gender, because I'm just looking at you as a person for the most part. I understand there's gendered issues, but like, I'm not gonna sit here. If a man saying some shit I don't agree with, you're gonna hear it. And if a woman says some shit I don't agree with, I'm gonna tell you as well. But people hear that and they're like, yo, we used to watch you, used to always, no, you just like the videos where I said what echoed with you. And now that I disagree because it's another male, you start getting fucking butthurt. I'm not here to do your man stuff. I'm not here to do your woman stuff. I don't give a fuck. I'm going to say what I believe to be true, irrespective of that. But most of you niggas who are out here yapping about this shit, y'all picked a side. Y'all picked a team and you root for that team. No matter, and if you're not on my team, then you're a misogynist or you're a I don't care. And there's another 20% of people who watch us who have critiques who are like, all right, that's valid. But a lot of you motherfuckers are just side choosers. You pander to your side and it's always that. That's it. I'm gonna be honest. That's what I really feel about a lot of the criticism. But now, the last thing I want to say, I think also just reading the comments, even on our own video, and people being like, nah, Abba, you can do everything right, and it just doesn't happen for you, you know? And I realized, like, a lot of people believe that finding the right person or falling in love is something that's just supposed to happen to you.
No, they treat it like they treat Catholicism.
Catholicism?
Yeah. If I do everything right, I'm going to step into heaven. That's not life. That's not life. That's not life.
Yo, you know what though, Preach? I'm gonna say this to you. Catholicism involves actions towards marriage and a lifestyle towards marriage and relationships that is actionable. What I'm saying is like they really put an emphasis on that as a value. They put it from a young age. They really push people towards that. Like, say what you want about Catholicism, but there's actual things involved in that help people get together.
What I'm saying is that whenever you're in those religions, those Christian religions, they talk about those things only at weddings. The rest of the time, they talk about, hey, good things comes to those who wait. They say stuff like that more often. Hey, if I do the whole right, everything right, I'm a nice person. The nice person, a good person. That's that. I deserve it. I deserve my sky because I did everything right. And life is not like that.
To me, it's interesting that there's a subset of people who get married and everyone thinks the way that they got there is just luck. She happened to find, but if you really start to peer behind the curtain, you realize there's a lot of things that they had to do. Like you being with your partner, is it just luck?
No, but there's luck, but it's work. It's conversations.
To make your relationship work, what are some lifestyle changes that you needed to make it function?
I gotta make time. I gotta remember that I gotta make time for people. And because of my condition, sometimes I forget. I'm just too much into certain things, or I gotta remember to make time. Just like a plant. You have to water it. Yeah, but the earth is good. You have to water it. And when the leaves are yellow, you gotta be like, oh my God, there's bugs on it. Why is there bugs on it? Did you bring another plant that was not supposed? You have some actions to whatever it is. Oh my God, the leaves are yellow. That's because you left it in front of a window.
So when we boil this whole back and forth down, it all comes down to Abba and Preach essentially saying that bro is not taking accountability for the results in his life. He's not taking enough accountability. And then you got people on the other side of the fence that are saying that you can do everything right and things don't work out for you. And I suppose both are true to an extent. Now, those of you who fuck with me on my spiritual channel, you know how I feel. I believe we can all have everything we want instantaneously. Why is that? Because everything is a means to an end for a feeling. The reason why anyone wants anything is to have a feeling. That's it. When people like, someone's like, okay, because I talk about manifestation, people are like, Don, can I manifest being taller? It's like, nigga, you don't want to be taller. You want to feel what you think being taller is going to make you feel, which is confidence. You want confidence. That's really what you want. You don't want to be taller. How do I know that? Because if you woke up tomorrow and all of a sudden you're the exact same height, but everybody else is 6 inches shorter, now do you really want to be taller? Was it really the 6 foot mark that was important to you? No, it's because in the context of the society we live in, 6 foot and above is considered tall, and therefore you think it's going to give you confidence. But now all of a sudden you're 5'6" in a world filled with 5'2" niggas. Now you the tall guy. You don't want to be any taller. So you don't really want height. Same thing if someone asked me about, can you manifest a different eye color? You don't want different colored eyes. If you woke up tomorrow and you're the only person on the planet with your colored eyes, I promise you'd want to keep them because now you're unique, you're special. So you don't really want different colored eyes. You want to feel special. You want to feel more attractive because you think that's what is going to happen if you had different color eyes. Now, all of these feelings, these are feelings that you can feel instantaneously through your imagination. Now, the word imagination has a dirty connotation to it because of how it's been misused and abused. But think about the fact how you get anxious and feel afraid for situations that haven't actually occurred. You will worry about some shit that hasn't happened yet, that is not in the present, that you have no evidence is going to happen. But just because you think there's a possibility it might happen, you worry about this imagined reality and you feel real emotions. Well, just as fear is an emotion, so is confidence. And so if you can imagine a fictional reality to feel negative emotions like anger, you know what I'm saying? How many times have you had an imaginary argument in your head with somebody else and that gets you angry? It gets you anxious. It gets you amped up. Those are feelings that are being created by a fabricated imaginary reality that's all in your head. Well, you can use those same muscles to imagine a reality that is positive, one where you do feel confident. And then you can have that feeling right then and there. And that is the first step to truly manifesting anything you want in your life. I'll talk about that more in detail in my spiritual channel, Eternal Dawn, link in the description. So once you get that, you come to a place of stability and peace. You don't want anything. As Jesus said, be anxious for nothing. Believe that anything you've asked for in prayer, you've already received it. It will be yours. These are ancient 1,000-year-old teachings, and it's the only way you're ever going to get to a point in life where you can just calm the fuck down, be at peace, and let good shit come to you. And so that's what I mean when I say you can have anything instantaneously. And the reality is, if you're able to hold that mindset, that frequency for long enough, it will materialize in your physical world. Because like I said earlier in the video, your reality is shaped by your beliefs. Your beliefs aren't shaped by your reality. And so if you start to see yourself as a confident person because you're immersing yourself in that imagined reality often enough, just like how the nigga that is constantly imagining a reality where his bitch cheats on him and then eventually that shit fucking happens, he manifested that shit. He put himself in a place emotionally so much he started to believe that shit. You worry about your bitch cheating on you enough, you're going to start thinking she's an unloyal person, even if you don't have any hard evidence. And then give it enough time, that shit is going to play out in your reality. So many stories of people who were just constantly worried about that shit until that shit happened. You know what I'm saying? How many times have you heard the story about the girl who has an insecure boyfriend who's always like thinking she's trying to cheat on him? Eventually, she like, well, fuck it. This nigga think I'm always cheating. Might as well. If he never allowed himself to be afraid of that shit in the first place, it would have never happened. There is nothing to fear but fear itself. You know what I'm saying? These are all based on the same principles, the same spiritual principles that power your ability to create your reality. And so, yeah, man, tap in with me on my spiritual channel if you really want to learn this shit. But that said, you know what I'm saying? I see what Abba is saying. And I see what the other dude is saying. You know, he's soft. He emotional. He don't like the fact that he opened up online and somebody cracked jokes on him. And everybody's entitled to feel the way they feel and their opinions. But in all reality, like Abba and Preach are saying, that he's not taking enough accountability for the outcomes in his life. But I just take shit a step further than Abba and Preach. I think we completely are the creators of our reality. And the only thing that matters is how you feel. There are dudes in prison who are at peace, who feel free spiritually. And so they walk around light. And then there are dudes on the outside with millions of dollars and fame and they want to off themselves. Who's really in prison? The dude behind bars? Or the dude living in a mansion that every day thinks about pulling the plug? Who's really free and who's really in prison? That's the only thing that matters is how you feel. And so, yeah, man. But I'm going to let them finish what they're saying right now.
I got sunburned. That was your action.
You said you had to make time. I'm going to ask you a couple of different questions. In order to keep things going, especially like you guys were young, what are some sacrifices you felt you had to make as a young person to keep this relationship going, even in your young years? Because I think you were 16?
Yeah, something like that.
What are some things that you had to do in your young years that you felt like you sacrificed versus other people who might have been single around those same young years?
The going out, the parties, all those things. Sometimes you just, let me just go home. Motherfuckers gonna be worried. You know, you gotta text. I'm not a texter. I'm not a caller either. But sometimes you gotta be like, hey, I'm okay. You gotta learn those things. Yeah, when you're supposed to do that. Yeah, you have to learn to do that. You have to learn to be able to do some compromises about, you know what, I might not go to this trip. I might just spend some time with that person instead. You gotta compromise your time. You gotta compromise certain things that you don't want to do. You're like, man, but you know what? They'd love that.
So this is the other question I want to ask.
Go ahead.
When you guys are growing older from your young years, there's also a huge developmental phase. As you guys are changing as people, how do you guys make it work?
You know what? We try to make it work, but it's a possibility that you do everything right and it doesn't work. Yes, it might, but at least you tried. Most part of the conversation, you got to listen. Not retort, listen. To better understand. Point of discussion is to understand, not fucking, let me just be right.
Listen, you guys disagree? That's great. Love it. I don't do things from a general malicious place. And maybe the way I do things, maybe it's just not good for people. I don't know. But to me, what's always been useful for me in my life, and I think for a lot of the people around me, is I do this with my friends too. Like my friends will come and sometimes they just want to be vulnerable to talk about their feelings. That's fine. But generally speaking, and I say this even with my brother, my loved ones, it's like they'll come to me and they're like, yo, me and so-and-so have a problem. I'm like, okay, what happened? They tell me the problem. Okay, like, did you do anything? Why did she react that way? No, she's just crazy. What do you mean she's just crazy?
Maybe she is.
Like, maybe she is.
Let's just dig in.
And then, like, the more you assess, you're like, oh, okay, you know what? This is actually how you played into this situation. Can you see that from her? Like, I really make a concerted effort, and I think this serves me not just in my friendships, but also in my work and my day-to-day life. I really make a concerted effort to be like, well, from their perspective, were you really trying? Well, you know what? I'd reminded him 3 years in a row to remember my birthday, and you forget every time. Ooh, I could see how someone might feel invalidated by that. Because if it's a consistent thing where you don't remember their special moments in their life, there might be times where they start to question how you feel about them, right? Like, just put it in your Google Calendar. There's so many ways that we play into these things, and nobody cares what you want or truly desire. What actionable steps are you taking? It's so easy to say you want something, but if your actions are going in contravention with that, nothing you want or desire fucking matters.
One thing I'll say about Abba and Preach, these niggas be making up words all the fucking time. What? Contravention? What the fuck is that? Let me look that up. Maybe I'm the retard that don't know how fucking words. Contravention? An action that violates a law, treaty, or other ruling. Young persons who commit offenses bear responsibility for their contraventions. Maybe I don't know. Maybe it can be used in that context, but I ain't never heard that word before.
I've heard hundreds of girls tell me they want a nice guy and end up with a fucking piece of shit afterwards who everyone knew was a piece of shit from miles.
I would think the word he was reaching for was contradiction, but okay, maybe contravention works. I don't fucking know.
What you claim you want or desire has nothing to do with what you're actually going after and what you're doing in your day-to-day life. I have to hire an editor, so I have to talk to a lot of different people. And one thing I was asking is, all right, I see this on your resume, like you really want to learn this stuff. Cool, fantastic. How much experience do you have? None. 25? Okay, interesting. About to be 29. Okay, 29. All right, 20. Okay, cool. Why don't you have any experience? I went to school a little bit, and then after that, like, I just never found a job in that field. So I was like, you didn't ever take time on YouTube? You never made your own projects or take footage and start splicing it to... No? Okay. So you really want to be this thing, but none of your actions match. And that's also the juxtaposition that people have. People say stuff like, I really want to be a wife. Okay, great. Do you have any homemaking skills? No. Okay. Are you basically looking into settling down? Because I noticed you're just traveling 24/7. No. Okay. What are your faults? Oh, I'm impatient. I can be very aggressive. Sometimes I get physical. Okay, like, how are you trying to fix these problems?
No, but that's just the way I am, though. That's just the way I am.
You know what I'm saying? It's just like...
I need someone to tame me.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just... but maybe I'm the fucked up one. Maybe I'm the weird one for saying we should all look at the roles that we play in these situations.
You are.
But if that's the case, I'd rather be fucked up, and maybe you're watching the wrong channel. Yeah. Because in my opinion, if y'all got a lot of problems in life and it's pretty consistent, you part of the problem, and I'll die with that sentiment. I don't believe 99% of you are perpetual victims. Just don't. I just don't buy it. But that's my assessment.
Done.
And to that guy, I'm not sorry for that joke.
Well, at least he didn't apologize for the joke. You know what I'm saying? And I already gave you guys my take on this situation. Tap in with me on my spiritual channel if you want to hear more of that kind of shit. But let me know what you think about this situation in the comment section down below. Do you think Abba and Preach were too insensitive, or do you think bro, you know what I'm saying, was being a little too soft? I think he was being a little too soft, and his first mistake was trying to be vulnerable and looking for sympathy and validation on the internet. Bad idea, bro. Bad idea.